Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming so many in this half an hour session on how to use AI to commit harm. So, of course, it's not a practical guide for you to learn how to do it. So, especially it's a presentation given by Jérémy Kespit from Europol, from the Innovation Lab of Europol. So, I see the slides are on. So, Jérémy, thank you for coming, and over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So, Jérémy Kespit, Europol Innovation Lab. And indeed, today's presentation is more about how you misuse AI for nefarious purpose. So let's get started immediately. And most of the time when you have examples about how AI is going to be misused, we just show you deepfakes. So I thought, let's start with a deepfake. And you can immediately see that this is a deepfake because there is even a watermark from Try.ai.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we will discuss the use of AI to commit harm at Trust and Safety Forum.
Okay, so that's someone that is really well known. There are lots of footage of this person. The voice is everywhere, so that's really easy to do a deepfake of Donald Trump or Barack Obama, for instance. But what I want to show here as an introduction is that the technology is evolving very fast, and it becomes more and more easy to create this kind of deepfakes and then use it for a bad purpose. If we look a little bit about the evolution of AI, okay, I know it's a bit excessive here, but more or less AI yesterday was Stone Age. If you look just a few years back, what was available, especially for everyone regarding AI, was compared to today almost, let's say, not really good. And today we are more like in this age where you have lots of screens, graphics, and you can do many, many things with AI, and it's going more and more advanced. And tomorrow maybe we'll have AI, robots, and everything will be automated. We don't know exactly. But you see that AI is evolving super fast. And when it comes to criminal use of AI, you just need to look at the news. And for instance, you see this article where they explain that criminals, they use AI to train a model to generate images of child abuse. I mean, if you try to acquire data related to child sexual exploitation, it's quite difficult. Most of the time, maybe you have to go on the dark web, maybe you have to pay with cryptocurrencies, or it's not really easy. So why not use AI and try to tweak maybe some models and generate content that is very difficult to do? So you see that criminals, they are very inventive when it comes to finding solutions to that problem. ChatGPT, I think we all know ChatGPT, and of course you want to use ChatGPT to generate better scams. So you have all received those SMS, emails, very badly written, I mean, and you can immediately spot that this is a fake, this is a scam, I mean. And now with ChatGPT, criminals, they got ChatGPT in their hand, and what they did was to just generate good scams, very well written, and that sound realistic. More recently, you have this case of a deepfake where a financial employee in Asia was contacted. There was an online meeting with some CEOs, and I don't know how they made it, but they convinced him that he had to transfer 25 million to a bank account of criminals, but he didn't know, and they managed to do it with deepfakes. So you see that criminals, they are super inventive when it comes to using AI for making money. So criminal use of AI, you see that it's really skyrocketing, and that's really related to how AI is evolving at the moment. So we are going to speak about the why, but before we speak about the why, I just want to, let's say, quickly give you an idea of what we are doing at Europol. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but also because I'm quite sure most people here think that Europol and Interpol is the same thing. It's not. So Europol Innovation Lab more specifically, the main idea when it was built more than 3 years ago was to say there are lots of people in Europe, LEAs, law enforcement agencies, working on similar things, and they are not communicating to each other. So we want to avoid duplication, we want to avoid this situation where there is competition, there are missed opportunities, and the best place to bring everything together and work on innovative technologies is really Europol, because this is a hub, and this is what we're already doing when it comes to criminal investigation. So they wanted to make it one step further, where you also do it for innovative technologies. So what we are doing, we work on new technologies. There are lots of opportunities, especially with AI at the moment and see how they can be used for investigation to facilitate the work of police officers, how they can be more efficient. And we do it by co-creative, innovative solutions because you may think innovation lab, there are lots of developers. That's not the case. Most of the people working in the lab are don't really have technical background, but their job is more to connect initiatives in Europe, make sure that we collectively enhance our capabilities when it comes to investigation. Quickly on the organization, we have 3 different offices. We work on concrete projects, one which is more stakeholder management, and observatory, where we look into the future and we say, what is going to be technology in 5, 10 years? How should we prepare to, when the technology is mature, to use it for our purpose, but also how criminals are going to use it, and try to think what we should do now to prevent them from using this technology in the future for bad purpose. So we created a set of reports on quantum computing, virtual reality, deepfakes, the misuse of ChatGPT, that you can download online, and you can look into what we've created regarding those technology and how we think this is going to be used in the future. Okay, that was the small parenthesis about who we are, and I want to go back to why criminals are using AI, and I think I already more or less gave you the answer. But more or less AI is everywhere, and it's accessible to everyone. ChatGPT, you just need an account, you need an email address. It's easy to create a fake email address or a sock puppet email address, as we say. Stable diffusion, generating images, any kind of things related to AI. You go to Hugging Face, there are lots of models that are open source. You just download, you can even clone GitHub repositories, you just make it run locally. So anyone at the moment can use AI with quite good models. They are proprietary models, but lots of models are open source, and you can do many, many things with it. So it's more and more accessible. As I told you before, it's more advanced than it was yesterday. If you look at deepfakes, maybe a few years ago, you could immediately spot that this is a deepfake. Now, if we generate a deepfake, we're doing face swapping. You really have to look closely to see if that's a fake or not, and maybe most of the time we will not figure out that it's a fake. And for criminals, AI equals advanced automation. Criminals, they want to make money as fast as possible and doing as less as possible efforts. So in a way, they are lazy, which is a good thing, because when you are lazy, you look for innovative and efficient solutions, and AI is one of the perfect options that they have available for that. So now we want to look into some use cases, how AI can be misused. So the first one is deepfake and child abuse. And again, you just look at the news, and you see that this is a case in Spain where a minor, they used AI to unnude a picture and they published it on the internet. So that's one of the ways that you have, and you see that there are many applications that are available online to do it. Many cases reported of what is called porn revenge, where maybe a young boy had a girlfriend, she dumped. Is it working? Okay, I can just continue in the meantime, and you can follow without the slides. But yes, I was saying that porn revenge, maybe you have a young boy, he had a girlfriend, she dumped him, and then he finds nothing else to do than put her face in a porn movie. This is called porn revenge, and they publish it on the internet, and they say, look what she's doing. You have lots of nude deepfakes that are created and that are overflowing the internet. And you have this kind of, let's say, title that is really kind of buzzy, where they say deepfake porn is out of control, like it's really massive, which is actually the case because it's really easy right now to make deepfakes. Lots of sites explaining exactly how you can proceed if you want to create a nude of someone, applications that are available, so you can see that it's really, really easy for everyone to do it. If we look into identity theft, there is one technology that is already available for everyone, face morphing. You take the picture of someone. So of course you have to take two people that are that look quite similar. If you take people that are very different, I can tell you for sure it's not going to work. You will see it immediately. But here you have two women. They look quite alike, not so much, but okay. And then you do face morphing. So you more or less merge the two faces together, and you can adjust how many percentages you want of person 1 compared to person 2. So you could do 50-50, you could do 40-60. So you adjust it as you want, and you generate one new person, a morphed person, and you use it to generate an identity document. And what are you going to do with it? You just do it, and you have two people who can use the same identity. And if you are law enforcement, you check the document, you look at the picture, you look at the person, you could say, yeah, that's the same person. So that's a very good way to do identity theft. You have this article where they explain that in Germany you have some activists that were calling for people to use deepfakes to generate fake documents, and they actually, one of them managed to generate a fake document using this kind of technology. So you see that this is real, this is already happening, and it's quite easy and it's very available for everyone to use it. Deepfakes, when you do face morphing, so it's not really advanced. I did it myself in 2 seconds. Honestly, it takes 2 seconds. You just need to have two pictures, Emmanuel Macron, Xavier Dupont de Ligonnès, so someone with one of the most known fugitive in France, and then you merge them together, and you have Xavier Dupont de Ligonnès at Élysée and Emmanuel Macron somewhere in the countryside, even if maybe here the picture is not very good because the faces are not really aligned, but still, you see, it's super easy to do. So what can you do with it? So you generate a fake passport, and you can just do travel fraud, so going to places where you are not supposed to go. Financial damage, let's say you have a mortgage and you get the money from the bank with a fake identity, and then you just run away with the money and no one can trace you back because you have a fake identity. Gain illegal employment, evade law enforcement. If we are looking for you, you have a new identity document that looks real, which is real, by the way. How are we going to find out that this is not you? Of course, there are other ways to find out that this is you or not, but at first, if we just check the document, we have no ways to find it. Speaking about large language models, what kind of abuse you can have? You all know ChatGPT, started in November 2022, and that was a really big advancement in terms of AI. And almost immediately, you had this kind of articles on the internet where they explained that criminals, they were using ChatGPT to build malwares and also to create some plots, fake girl bots to scam people, because that's a really powerful tool. So I'm going to go more into detail, but first I wanted to explain what we've done at Europol. So we've created what we call the chatathon. And the idea was to split into 2 teams, police officers, criminals, so blue team, red team, and say you have a few hours and you have, for one team, you have to abuse as much as possible ChatGPT and find as many information that it should not disclose. And the other team, as police officers, they had to find out how they could use large language models to, let's say, make them work more efficient. And based on this exercise, we drafted a report and we have identified some key threats related to propaganda, disinformation, grooming. If you don't know what is grooming, this is the process where pedophile is trying to attract young children, pretending that he's a young boy or girl, and trying to isolate the person maybe so that he can gain control of the children. Cybercrime, fraud and scams, and we drafted the report more than 1 year ago, and so we have updated it, and what we found out is that, I mean, it's not a surprise, but ChatGPT has improved in the meantime, so now they have made some safeguards, but it's also able to read documents, audio files, videos, so now it's able to process multiple modalities. So it's much more improved. And you have competitors, so you have other proprietary large language models. But back then we said we already foresee that in just a few months there will be what we call dark LLMs. And dark LLMs are these kind of things like warm GPT, dark burp, where people will just train their own large language model for nefarious purpose, like building malware, I don't know, having a coding assistant to do any kind of bad things, maybe doing some phishing scams. And lots of people provided those services on the internet and on dark web. So this is something that we foresaw that happened. But there's also something else that maybe people are not really aware of. Because in the meantime, as you can see it here, and there are not all the large language models listed here, but you can see that there was literally an explosion in terms of numbers of large language models available for everyone. And you can see highlighted in yellow those ones that are open source. Open source means that you have access to the weights and you can play with the model as much as you want. When you ask ChatGPT, give me something, they of course train the model not to answer, but even if it answers, they still have access to the output and they can post-process it and say, I see that the content that I'm outputting is harmful, so I'm not responding. So they still have a control over it, but when you give access to the model, you don't have control over what is generated by the model. So we said, okay, let's give it a try ourselves, see what criminals could do. And we've built Dark GPT. So we built dark large language models ourselves using an open source model. So that's free. You can just download it and run it locally. So there is no log, no internet connection. So no one knows what you are doing with the model. You just need to, if you want to create a web interface, it takes just a few minutes, maybe hours if you want. You can remove the safeguards. You can also retrain the model to lift the safeguards or maybe to retrain it on specific data set. For instance, to do phishing campaigns or whatever you want. And then you have access to the technology running locally. No one knows what you are doing. So if you ask ChatGPT, give me 5 chat messages related to, I want to gain trust of a child online, ChatGPT is now going to tell you, I'm sorry, I cannot assist you with this request. With the dark large language model that we created in half a day, so this is real time, and you see that the processing time is just a few seconds, and you say, write 5 messages. Sure, so number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, you can just rework a little bit the messages, but you got messages that look very good, actually, if you want to achieve this objective. This is just another example where you, let's say, improve a little bit the prompt to say, I'm 11 years old, I'm very shy, help me gain trust of someone I met online recently. Sure, I'm going to give you all the messages you want, and I can write it for you. So what you can immediately foresee is grooming automation. You can see that tomorrow, maybe already today, children will speak to robots when they think they are speaking to a young girl here, but actually behind the robot, because there is always someone controlling the robot, there is maybe a pedophile. And that's very concerning, because it becomes very easy to adapt the way the large language model is speaking, writing. You can change the tone, you can change everything you want just with a basic prompt engineering. So this is really concerning. Just another example, which is going to take a bit more time, but when you think about something else, which is like building a malware, I say, okay, give me a short program that will encrypt someone else's laptop so that I can use it as a ransomware. It takes just maybe 10 seconds, and you get the source code outputted immediately. And something little bit funny is that at the end, it tells you, don't really use it because it's bad. So you will see it at the end before the video cuts. So you have all the code that is here, how you should use it, and you can also follow up with questions. But this code is for demonstration purposes. Okay. But if I ask the question, maybe it's not for that I want to use it. And of course, you can. One of the really powerful aspect of large language models is that you can follow up with questions. So you say, okay, line number 5, you are doing this. Can you explain me why? Okay, you did it like this. I want you to do it like that. And it's going to refine the code that you get, and it's going to be even more powerful. So you can really adapt it as much as you want without having any coding skills. some use cases related to fraud and financial scam. This is how scamming call center looks like nowadays. So you have maybe 50 employees, and they spend their day calling people, and they call you. They don't necessarily speak very well your language, so you can spot it immediately that it's maybe a bit weird. And it's super easy to speak English because everyone is speaking English, but maybe in other languages it's more difficult to have this kind of call centers. So this is the way it works now. Today, or maybe, let's say tomorrow, or maybe already today, you could have like a scam GPT, and you could just generate the text so that you speak with people, and large language model is going to do it for you. And because you have text-to-speech technologies, you can adapt, you can make someone speak what is being written by the large language model, and you can adapt it with the language you want. So you can translate, you can change the language, you can change the tone, you can change the voice if you want it to be a man, a woman, a young, old person, and you can really target the person that you have, I was about to say in front of you, but you can really target it to your victim. And if you look at some technologies that are already available, one is called voice cloning. So it's really easy. You can do it in just 2 seconds. So
I beat China all the time.
So you know what this is? I'm just going to go back. So this is, again, Donald Trump, because it's very well known and you find it everywhere. And I say, I want Donald Trump to tell me something like this. And I use a recording which is maybe 3-6 seconds maximum. And it's going to use the same voice, so clone it, and it's also going to convey the emotion of the person. So if you want the audio to be of someone that is really happy or someone that is really depressed, you just change your input, you just write what you want to do, and you get the right output. So
let me tell you, folks, this voice cloning thing, it's tremendous, okay? Absolutely amazing.
Okay, I'm just going to skip because it's a bit long, but you get the idea, how it works. Super easy, you find it on the internet, you can clone the repository, run it locally, no one knows that you made it. I'm not encouraging you to do it. Okay, if we go one step further, you have your scam GPT, and you want to scam people, so we said you can generate the text and have audio that is outputted and speaking to people, but you can also combine it with deepfakes, so you can have people speaking. So you could use people that do not exist, but you could also say, I mean, maybe you have this example of remote access. So maybe you get a phone call from your IT department, and they say, I need to get access to your laptop because there is something wrong going on, and I need to check if everything is okay. So if it's a phone call, you can maybe just check, but the person is speaking, and you don't see the person. So you could say, okay, I don't know, I want to see you, I want to know if it's really you. But tomorrow you could have like a video call with your IT guy speaking to you, and that's actually a robot using this kind of scams where they do a deepfake, they make the person speak to you, and they say, give me access to your laptop. Yeah, sure, okay, I know you, you can have access. Then they get access to all your data, they just encrypt everything, or they just leave, and something bad happens. So you can relate it to remote access, online banking, where they will say, I'm calling from the bank, and maybe you will see the person that is actually the person that you see every day at the bank calling you on a video call and speaking very well in your language. You could also redirect people to fake websites and saying, okay, you need to go there, put your password, which is not the right website, and then they get your credentials and they access your account. So you could imagine anything. They could do it by email, SMS, phone call, video call, anything, because already everything is available. Of course, it needs to be fine-tuned based on what you want, but you could imagine that all those technologies are going to be combined and used for nefarious purpose. So consequences, fraud and scams, cybercrime, extortion, blackmail. I'm not going to detail any longer because you get the idea. So you could ask, okay, what can we do? And I'm not telling you that I have the right answer for that. But I think one of the main things that we should do is to monitor new trends, identify threats, see how technology is evolving, and practice this kind of exercises where we say, okay, we have this new technology, it's amazing. How are we going to use it for ourselves? And how are criminals going to use it against us? And if you try to put yourself in the shoes of criminal, you can do it actually quite easily and try to say, okay, I could do this like that. I couldn't do it in the past, now I could do it. Okay, so I identify a threat, so now I can maybe deploy some cybersecurity measures to try to protect against this kind of AI-powered cyber attacks. And so first you identify the threats, you identify the measures that you need to apply, you apply them. But I think it's more or less a race against criminals because they will always seize opportunities, they have time, they have nothing else to do than making money. So they will see something new and they will immediately say, we need to do something with it. So you have to catch up quickly, but you also have to raise awareness for your staff, educate, okay, there is this new threat, if someone is calling you and it looks real, if they're asking you things that they should not, make sure that you call back. For instance, this is something very simple, but this is one of the first things that you learn when you are a police officer, someone is calling you, it sounds weird, they're asking things they should not, you say, give me your phone number, I'm calling back, and you make sure that you're calling the right person. So I think raising awareness, educating people, staff to know that what is already available, how it could be misused is the best way to make sure that they don't fall into this kind of trap. And if we have a few more minutes left, I wanted to ask, what do you think? Because I don't think I have the right solution for everything. Maybe there are other options. So if you have questions or ideas, I would be happy to learn from them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to know how you try to avoid this kind of situation, what measure you take in Europol, because you show us what's happened, but how you try to fight against this type of issues.
There are, let's say, different ways to address the problem. Okay, first of all, Europol is supporting member states. So we are not directly speaking to the victims. So we really work with the member states to say, look, this is available. And we also look into what solutions are available. For instance, we speak about deepfake. Okay, are there some deepfake detection tools that are good? Can we test them? Can we make sure that we spread the information among member states, what is already available to counter this kind of things? I lost my train of thoughts. What did I wanted to say?
You do not assist police directly. You do not assist victim directly.
Yeah, we don't assess a victim directly, so we try to raise awareness, practice this kind of exercises, explain to people what is coming up, also prepare for Europol staff to say, okay, we have this, so what kind of technologies can we deploy? But as I told you at the end, it's quite difficult to, I mean, if there is deepfake, it's still difficult to detect, and we need to, I think most of the work is raising awareness and looking for technical solutions which may not come immediately.
Thank you. I wonder how you use data to crowdsource and understand the patterns of criminality as they're emerging. Do organizations report new attacks? Do you have that feedback from member states?
Sorry, I just missed the beginning of the question.
How do you use data to identify patterns that are in place? Do you have feedback loops from member states, or do organizations report back?
Yeah, so we get data directly from the member state. So they contribute with data, they open a case saying, I have this case that is related to international investigation, and then we get access to the data. So we can directly process the data. There are some purposes that are defined by the Europol legislation, and we have access to the data so we can perform analysis by ourselves. So there are dedicated teams at Europol doing this kind of work.